This video is going to go over the very basics of using Google Drive. So if you already feel confident using Google Drive, just turn this video off. It's not designed for you, but I wanted to make it because a lot of other productivity and organization videos, like about making project plans or making agendas, assume that someone already has the basic knowledge of how to use Google Drive. And I know that that's not the case for everyone, so I just wanted to go over the very basics for people if that is kind of like the foundational level before you move on to some more complicated tasks on that platform. So briefly, what is Google Drive? Google Drive is an online, basically file and document management system. It basically replaces things like PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, which are like documents and presentations and spreadsheets, with a online version of them. So it's really handy because no matter where you are, those files are saved in the internet, so you can go use them on someone else's computer, you can share them with others, they can be edited in real time between multiple people, and I highly recommend using Google Drive with all of the spreadsheets and documents for any sort of collaborative work that you're doing, unless you have a need for it to be confidential. There is no way to encrypt Google Drive, so if you are using it for something confidential, stop and go use a different platform. We're just assuming that this is stuff that would not be the end of the world if it was publicly available. So I'm going to show you how to use it, very basics, and let's go over to the internet. And so we're going to assume you're in your browser here. How do you get to Google Drive? Well, you just type in drive.google.com. And when you do that, for me, this brings up my personal Google Drive. And if you've never used it before, there might not be anything in there. But you have files that you either created or files that other people have shared with you. So in my Drive are things that I've created or things that people have shared with me that I've added to my Drive. So just as an example, I'm just going to go over to here, which is a tab that I had open of things that people have shared with me. And if I wanted to add something that someone shared with me to my Drive, for example, this expense questions, things that our accountant has shared with me, I could right click on that and add to my Drive. And it has now been added to my Drive, and now it would be on this list of things that is in my personal Drive. So if someone shares something with you and you want to add it to your Drive, that's how you would do it. And there is that expense questions spreadsheet that I had just added to my Drive. So that's just kind of how you would add things that you did not personally create. So DXC General is DXC's, or the chapter, the SF Bay Area chapter's like main organizational system. That is not something that I created. It's just something that I added to my Drive. You can see it was actually created by Wayne. So let's say you're in your Drive and you want to create a new document. So you could just hit this button, hit new, and it gives you a bunch of new options for what you might want to create. A folder, a document, which is like Word, a sheet, which is like Excel, a slideshow, which is like PowerPoint. You even have more options like a Google form, which we use often to do surveys. So you can just click any of those buttons and it will create a new version of that. Now, likely you will want to create that in a specific place in your Drive. So let's just assume that we want to create it in a folder in DXC General. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to double click. It's going to open that up. And let's just assume you want to make a document in the protest team. Now, I just know that that is under direct action. Here's protest. So I'm just going to open it. And there's all of the things in protest. So let's just assume I want to make that new document there. Then the best way I think to do it is to go to where you want to make the document and then hit new. So you don't create the document and then try to move it around. You just go to where you want to make it and then you would hit new. So let's just say I wanted to make a new folder, click that, and it would say, what do you want to do? And I would say, new test folder, whatever you would want to name it. Create. and it's working, and there it is. Now let's say I wanted to make a document in there. I could double click on it and take me in there. There's nothing in there, I just created it. New document. And this is what will come up because the document is going to be made in a folder that's already been shared with other people. So it's going to say, hey, when you create this, it's going to be shared with the same number of people as that folder that you created in the protest team. And I'm going to say, if it was like, oh shoot, I actually didn't want to do that, this is a secret document, then hit cancel, but most likely you would create and share, and it would take you then to this brand new blank document where you could write a title, test document, and then you could write all sorts of things in here. So then let's say you wanted to share this document with other people. You can see that it's actually already been shared with 7 people. I just hover over this and see that because it was made in this protest team folder. So everyone who has access to the protest team folder now automatically has access to this because it is in the same bucket, if that makes sense. But let's say you wanted to share it with someone who didn't have access to the protest team folder. It's a new person, they're just joining the team. You'd hit that share button, and then you would write in their email address. So let's just say test@test.com. And here you would have a lot of different options. You could give them edit access. You could give them access just to comment, which means they can't actually change the document, but they can leave comments on it. Or you can give them view only access, which means they can see the document, but they can't actually edit it. So you choose what you want to give them access to, and then you would hit send. You could also leave a little note that would show up in their email when you share it that says, I'm sharing this with you so you know what the plan is for tomorrow, or whatever, whatever is relevant to the document. If they're expecting you to share something, there's no need to probably write anything in there. Now let's say you didn't want to just share it with one person. You actually wanted just to get a link that would allow you to share it with a lot of people, like in a WhatsApp group. So I would hit get shareable link, and here the link is here, and it gives you those same options. When does everyone with the link, can they see it? Can everyone with the link edit it? Or can everyone comment? Usually you do not want to turn anyone with the link can edit on, because that can go wild, because as soon as someone gets that link, they can edit it. So it's most likely you're going to want this, and you could just copy the link here by clicking that, or double click and copy it as you normally would. And then when I send this in a WhatsApp group or something like that, technically everyone who has this link should be able to see it. So let's just cancel that, and we are going to say we're done with that. Now let's say we're going to go back over here. Let's say you actually made this in the wrong place and you want to move it. So you can click on this document, just click on it once to highlight it, right click on it, and you have all these options. You can share. This would do the exact same thing that I just did, but it's just another way to get to it. You can and you can move it. So that's what we want to do. So you want to click on move, and it takes you to where it is, and you can go back. Do you want to put it in protest, like maybe a different folder in protest, or do you want to even go further back and actually put it in the legal folder and go over here? You can just go around in all of the folders that have been organized, and when you choose one and highlight it, you would just hit move here, and that document would move there. Now, something else that's really cool is sometimes you don't actually want to move it. You want to add it to a separate location, but keep it in this location here. So for example, if you had a very important document for protest, but that document was also very important for another team, then you actually want it in both places. So you don't want to just make a copy of it, like copy and paste it into a new document, because then what would happen is if you edited this, the other document wouldn't get edited either. You want both of those documents to literally be the same document, they're just found in two different places. So to do that, you would hit Shift Z, and now you would decide where you want to go, where you want to move it to, or add another version of it. Let's say I just want to add another version to the communications folder, wherever it is. Then instead of this button saying move, it says add, and that's when you know that when you click that button, this document over here, this test document, will also show up in that folder, and it will be the exact same document. Another thing you might want to do with documents is make a copy of it. And that's when you're maybe, a lot of times this is in the case of an agenda, where you would use the last agenda to make a copy and make edits of it. So if we make a copy, I'm just going to click make a copy. It shows up in the exact same folder. It's creating it. And it says copy of to test document. So I might open that and I see, look, it literally looks the exact same, but I might want to change this. That says second test document. You can rename it and then say a new type of text in there. So when you could just keep making copies and copies if you have some sort of template that you want to keep using the same format of, but you just want to make changes from week to week or something like that. When you have a very structured project plan, for example, you might want to just make a copy of an old one so you can edit some details and you don't have to start from scratch. Other really simple things that you can do is like rename a document, version, I don't know what you would just rename it, and you can delete certain things, and that's an easy thing that you can do as well. So one thing that I highly recommend is whatever folders that you use a lot, so whatever your teams are, you bookmark those folders on your computer so that every time you have to go to Google Drive, you don't have to type in drive.google.com and then find the right folder and go down the rabbit hole until you get to, your part. You just have it. So you can see here that I have a personal Google Drive, the main DXC General, and then development and the Animal Liberation Conference bookmarked here because those are the parts that I go to the most. These are the folders that I go to the most. And so when I click it, it just takes me immediately to the ALC 2020 folder here instead of me having to go find this. So how you can do that is get to where you want to go. So if I wanted to bookmark conferences, like all of the conferences, I would get to that page. Now this is a little bit depending on what internet browser you use, but you would basically just go bookmark this tab, and I would call it conferences here if I wanted to. Done, and there it shows up. You can drag it. This is kind of specific based on your computer, but now the next time I would just click on that and it would take me to conferences instead of having to go DXC General Development Conferences. So hopefully those are some really basic tips for using Google Drive, and it hopefully makes you a little bit more familiar. I will say that it's just a matter of doing it a lot and getting very comfortable and used to it. And if you feel more comfortable with computers, that will obviously speed up the process, but it is not too late to learn. You can definitely do it. And I find that having these basic skills helps a lot with confidence in organizing because you know how to use these tools, and then also just opens up a whole world of possibilities once you know how to use these tools confidently and successfully. So I hope that was helpful, and if there's other basic things about Google Drive that you don't know, I would be happy to make a video about it or happy to learn because I definitely don't know everything. You can just send us a message. The email is in the description.